Hello, everybody. Welcome to today's album review. Today we're reviewing Gorillaz Demon Days. And if it's your first time here, just to let you know that if you want to recommend an album for us to listen to, it can be any album whatsoever, any particular genre, then by all means let us know what it is and note down, why. Why do you want us to listen to it? What's so good about it? And we will go ahead and listen to it. Why not? Leave that down there in the comment section below. Okay, so Demon Days by Gorillaz. This was chosen by Brett, so you can go ahead and tell us what you thought of the album.
Okay, this is actually a quite tough one to talk through, really. So I'll try and not mince my word too much, and hopefully after maybe you give your explanation, we start going through songs, it might sort of make sense there. I don't know if I like this album or not. I'm not sure. I think I concluded that it might need a bit more time. It might need another listen to and to go through. What I found was that the songs themselves almost sum up how I felt like sort of the album. What I mean by that is that not all the songs, but majority of the songs, it's definitely a lot of mix of different kind of songs, sounds, tunes, different genres as well. And there'll be some parts of the song that I would really, really like, really enjoy, and then other parts of the same song which I wouldn't like or really dislike or couldn't quite understand or didn't quite work. And that pretty much goes throughout sort of the whole album. So that's why I'd probably say, do I know? I mean, if I took certain elements of it, and I know we could probably do this with any album we've listened to as well, I'd say yeah. And this is sort of thing I would probably see myself enjoying. It could be my sort of stuff I would listen to, but again, not sure. Was it again because it was quite a longish album and maybe there was too much going on? I say it was really hard to pin down. There was one song potentially that I would consider for my playlist. There's also a couple of other songs which I recognise from the hits, which I knew, which we'll go into. But yeah, that's sort of how that's going to start off summing up the album, really. So hopefully that kind of hopefully made more sense, at least maybe to you, because you listened to the album as well. And maybe hopefully you can reassure me and say, actually, that does make sense.
Yeah, I mean, I'd go along with most of what you said there. I can certainly relate to a lot of the things you said there, especially about kind of liking elements of the songs. Yeah, I'd say I'd agree with you on that one. Yeah, there was quite a lot going on. There were certain songs that had like guests, artists involved that were very rappy. There were other songs there that were more, I don't know, electronic music kind of thing. Lots of different things going on. So I think we tend to kind of quite like that. I think, when there's quite a bit going on, but maybe here there was even maybe possibly criticism that there was too much going on in some way. I would say probably this album would be slightly above average, based on all the albums we've listened to since we started this YouTube channel. So nothing mind-blowing. There's not a single song on there that I would want to download, to be honest. There were a couple of songs on there that I did know that I didn't recognize from the name, which we'll talk about. Yeah, I didn't mind listening to it. It was quite interesting. But yeah, like I say, there wasn't an actual particular song that I really liked. But at the same time, I didn't mind listening to the album. So yeah, all I can really say on that. Not too bad, but not anything too great. Definitely one of the better albums we've listened to in this series. There's no question about that for me. But that's not saying much.
Well, I would say it doesn't say a lot there, really. Yeah, and it's weird because this album did do really well on the charts. And I do feel something that if you are into this, you do enjoy it as a whole, then you would like this album. You would like and what they're
Okay, well, I've got a question for you. So when you say if you're into this, what sort of people do you think would be into? What sort of musical genre is this? Obviously, we know the guys from Blur, but it's not anything like, you know, that Blur music, is it? I mean, how would you sort of classify this genre, and who would be into it? What do you think?
yeah, it's almost like the same sort of question that I posed forward to you
Limp
with
Bizkit,
Limp Bizkit as well.
Yeah.
Exactly the same thing. However, I would say with Limp Bizkit, it felt like it was too extreme, real heavy metal or new metal, and whilst this was almost more meat in the middle and more sort of a poppy commercialized one. I think the people who generally really enjoy going to Glastonbury are the type of people like. And what I mean by that is, and I'd like to put myself in that category, even though I've not been to Glastonbury and I don't have any intention to want to go. Someone who likes music, like they're very open-minded, they like all sorts, which I'd like to think of myself in that category there. Yeah, someone who just is very open to musical tastes and genres.
Okay.
But if I'd push more towards, I would say, no, I can't even really sort of push it down to one particular avenue, really.
Okay. So let's go through each song. There's quite a few of them. 16 in total, I think, if we include the Japanese bonus track, which I take it you've listened to. Yeah. Okay.
Indeed, yeah.
So intro. Not much to say, to be honest. I just put for that. It was just an intro. Anything to add?
I do actually, yeah. So yeah, I said their intro as the title is just the intro. I wrote down here, sounds like someone having a bad dream / nightmare. And then once I listened all the way through, that's when I then was looking some stuff up on an internet about the album. And it turns out that this particular album, the main guy, again, I forgot his name off the top of my head, was saying that this is meant to be almost what he would call like a dark album, a night album. So it's designed to be listened to at night, or how people feel about the dark or nights, which I found actually quite interesting and probably makes sense when I was then looking back at some of the songs and stuff. So it was really interesting. I wrote that as my line, and it turns out that was what he was trying to do. And just quick on that as well. So apparently he was influenced from this album to write this album from a train journey that he did from Beijing to Mongolia. I don't know whereabouts in Mongolia. And he said it was just a very surreal place, lots of empty space or desert, and kind of the unknown sort of out there. Imagine it being quite eerie and quite strange. And again, I found that really quite interesting. And then probably makes sense when you start listening through the album why that's going all in place, really.
Okay. So the first real song, proper song, was Last Living Souls. First thing that struck me about this, it felt a little bit like Coldplay. There was some Coldplay elements to it, I thought. Maybe in terms of the singing, the style. Not much in the way of lyrics here. The song for me was slightly above average. Just, it was okay. Not too bad.
I wrote down the sort of genre, sort of like acoustic rock pop, which could sum up Coldplay as well. I also wrote here hard to explain, which doesn't really help me now, but I did also, it sounds like it could be a really decent song, not going on. And then I started putting the terms experimental, but what we realized from this album, we can't really use that term because this is what the whole album generally is. So there was one track which could really be classed as the experimental track on the album. Otherwise, this is just what it's all about, really.
Okay. Kids with Guns. So right at the beginning, it had a Blur feel to it. It sounded like I was listening to Blur. And of course, I realized that the Gorillaz, the guy was from Blur. But that was only for this song. That wasn't a continuous theme throughout. It was just for this particular song where I just felt it sounded a little bit like Blur right at the beginning. It was a strange, softly sung song. So these words softly sung appear quite a bit in my in some of these songs. The album in general was sort of quite softly sung. Wasn't keen on the instrumental though towards the end. So yeah, it was okay.
Yeah. So again, really interesting. Brotherly, I wrote here, sounds like Blur. One of my first points there. And there's definitely certain bits to it, and I said it's like through the whole album. Certain bits, the song that I did really like. Again, that sort of soft singing, which again, as you said, common theme, a lot of songs throughout. Yeah, didn't mind it, and that's why I think when I could at the end, it'd be worthwhile to I know we will both all listen back through these albums again, to listen to this one and see how I feel about it, without having trying to be critical and trying to think too much into it, and just listen to it.
Okay, the next one was Oh Green World. I put down kind of a Britpop style, which of course Blur were. Futuristic sounds, almost kind of like future in the past kind of thing, like almost felt like a kind of an old song, kind of with these kind of futuristic sounds, which would now probably be in the past, if that makes sense. The same kind of background music throughout. Yeah, I wasn't really too keen on this one.
Yeah, I just found the noise and the sounds was maybe just a little bit too much. Not to say they had to be completely gone from it, but I just found it was just a bit too much there. And again, a common theme, there's sort of almost like that interference kind of sounds. When you get like old school radios where you can just sort of crackling. And again, when I then read about when he said about that train journey, and again, I can imagine if it's quite deadly and looking out there, I can imagine that sort of sounding feeling to it. But we do get interference from quite a few of the other songs as well. But yeah, maybe just a little bit too much noise and sound, but okay, I guess.
Yeah, the next one I thought was interesting, Dirty Harry. This was completely off the scale compared to the other ones that we listened to up to now. So started off with like a load of kids singing, and then I just suddenly heard this kind of like hardcore rap, okay, which turned out to be Booty Brown, who was featured in the song, and just unexpected. It was really like nothing else none of the previous three songs. It was just a kind of a rap track. This one, again, it was okay.
Yeah, so I really recognised this song, and I know this was actually then turned out to be a song that they had released. But I did recognise it, but not only sort of like I think like the kids singing bit kind of thing. The song itself I didn't, but just that kind of bit there. I quite liked it, and I liked the kids singing. I quite liked the bit. Again, the rap bit is probably the bit I did enjoy the most. But this is why I thought Gorillaz might be more rap elements to, which we will get to. I think there are other songs that have that. Yeah, and then again towards the end, I think it was you've got that interference sort of sound from there. Yeah, not much more to really say. Oh no, again, the instrumentals really like. This would be a potential I would put down, and it was the song that was most in my head after I finished the album.
Okay. Then we had Feel Good Inc. So I didn't recognize the name of this song at all. But as soon as it came on, I was like, I know this, but I just had no idea that it was the Gorillaz who sung it. I think this was like one of those songs that was overplayed for many years, or not many years, but at the time when it came out, whenever that was. There was a rap part there by De La Soul, who was the featured rapper. Never been a huge fan of this song, but it's okay. I've never, like I said, I didn't actually know it was the Gorillaz whenever I'd listened to it in the past when it had been on the radio or whatever. It's just an okay song, probably above average compared to a lot of other songs. I suppose I'd say it was nice to kind of hear a familiar song, because nowadays, because we do this channel, I don't really listen to much music that I actually kind of like. I just listen to these albums, that we've got. So it's kind of nice in a way to listen just to a familiar song. Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely soothing once you get somebody you do recognise, and you feel like you don't have to work as hard because you are familiar when you recognise it. Yeah, as you said, well known. I liked it back then when it was out. Still like it now. Again, generally prefer the chorus softly singing bit rather than the rap bit, but not taking anything away from the rap bit. It does work quite well. And this is what I thought more of the Gorillaz sort of songs would be like. So again, Clint Eastwood from their last album went on songs, that same thing, normal singing with sort of rap as well there. So yeah, good song to have on the album.
Okay, next we had El Manana. So yeah, softly sung, as we mentioned before. We'd already seen that in a previous song. It's quite a nice song, this one, but nothing that really grabbed my attention to really say I liked it. Yeah, just I'd say, yeah, probably one of the better songs, but still not nearly enough there for me to want to download that or put it on my playlist.
Yeah, I can't put a note here. Is it in English? I think right at
Yeah,
the start, I wasn't sure. But then I think the rest of the song was in English, but I don't know if it was meant to be Spanish or at the start, because it didn't feel like Spanish. I don't know what it felt like. But yeah, really soothing, really relaxing. I kind of put the note here. You can imagine it being in a bar, sort of background music, a nice trendy bar. Just then sort of felt a little bit boring for me. But otherwise, it was an okay, nice song.
yeah, because I was wondering about the name. It was obviously like a Spanish name of the song, but then I didn't
Yeah, I
really
did do a translation for this one actually.
Okay. Every Planet We Reach is Dead is the name of the next song. So I didn't like it, to be honest. I found the instrumentals to be quite sort of annoying and dreary, always kind of like putting me to sleep. Wasn't much singing involved in this one. Yeah, not one of the songs that I liked from the album. This one.
I didn't mind this one actually. But again, could see where sort of there's a bit maybe too much going on. I even made a reference here, sort of like the Beatles towards the end. Experimenting with different sounds across there. It was a bit different. Again, if we're in sort of experimental, but really it's not the right word because like the whole song's really. But yeah, I actually didn't mind this one too much, and would be intrigued to sort of listen to that one again.
Okay, November has come. So this one caught my attention from the off because it was straight away rapping from a guy called MF Doom, who I've read has passed away since recording this song. It was a short song. And then the Gorillaz joined in with their usual kind of calm style of singing. So it's kind of a mixture. It's a bit of rap from this MF Doom. And then he'd stop and then there'd be a little bit of sort of calm singing. Yeah, it was just average, I'd say.
Yeah, and I can't really add more to what you said there. Really, pretty much what the songs they're like. Not too much experimental stuff going on there. I actually kind of like this one. This is one that I would probably consider for my playlist, but I think I'm gonna wait till I listen to it again and see how I feel. But yeah, really quite enjoyed this one.
Okay, All Alone. Yeah, this one was interesting. So we had rapping this time by Roots Maneuver, and midway through the song, or towards the end, kind of second part of the song, it just completely changed. A woman started singing. I got no idea who she was, but I liked it. That was the best part of the song, probably the best part of the whole album. I don't know. I really enjoyed this woman singing this particular part of the song. But I didn't really like the background music, to be honest, in the song. And they kept kind of repeating this All Alone chorus bit, which is fine, but it was quite repetitive. But on the whole, not a bad song. Definitely one of the better songs on the album for me. Just again, like you were saying at the beginning, the parts of it that you liked, parts that you didn't like of particular songs, and this would have been a good example of that for me.
Yeah, again, really good sum up there. I wrote down here. I think it might be called All Alone, just because we said there, it just right at the start that's all repeated, and then when you thought, okay, I'm not going to repeat anymore, later on, just constantly repeating All Alone. Again, I made a note about the woman singing. I said it sounded like a bit like Bjork, and I wrote down really like this particular bit. And again, good mixture with sort of hip hop and then Bjork singing, but that was definitely the favorite bit of the song.
Okay, so the next one was White Light. I felt this had a kind of more of a kind of rocky, maybe indie theme going on here. But then at some point the kind of music just changed completely and went calm, but then it went back to the kind of the rocky feel, and the song just kind of randomly finished unexpectedly without, I don't know, it kind of just, it was a short song, I think, from what I remember, and I wasn't really looking at the time of the song, but it just stopped and just moved on to the next song. It just felt a bit weird and kind of, it felt like it felt like an incomplete song.
Yeah, it's quite similar to the, and again, you've summed up really well there before. It's quite similar to the song we just had. Again, I wrote down, I think it's called White Lights. Again, I think we're repeating White Lights, which is right at the start. And again, the best part that I enjoyed from it was, again, that sort of the softer, relaxing bits from it.
Okay. Then we had Dare. So I was expecting to know this, not because I recognized the song or the Sean Ryder who was part of the song, but just because you said that you know this one when we picked it, and I did know it. So yeah, I know the song. What I thought was interesting, Sean Ryder, who I don't really know, but I read a little bit about him. He's from Lancashire, the north of England. You could really hear his northern English accent when he was sort of singing. I don't know if he was doing that purposely or that's just his style of singing. I don't know. But yeah, I've never been a huge fan of this song, but it's okay. Again, like what I said about Feel Good Inc., it's kind of just nice to hear a familiar song, even though I'm not overly keen on it. It was okay.
Yeah. So yeah, Sean Ryder, that is how he sings. There's nothing to it. So really, really interesting story about this. So I thought it was just I didn't know how true it was, and there was sort of truth to it. So apparently this song was meant to be called It's There, There, but because Sean Ryder, when he was singing it, it sounded like there, it's there. So they decided to change the name of the song. So it's kind of true, not quite like that. Apparently the truth of the story is that when they were first setting up for the song, apparently Sean Ryder had these headphones on and he was talking to the producers or it's about trying, because he needed to hear the music he was going to be listening to. Because at the start of the song he goes, it's coming on, it's coming on, it's coming on, it's there. And that's, they just took that from there. So he was saying, yeah, I can hear it, it's coming, it's coming, it's coming. Yeah, it's there, but in his really strong Northern Mancunian accent. And there was never meant to be that part of that song in the actual song. They just enjoyed that bit so much, and that affected what became part of the song. They never had that bit before. So yeah, a little bit of interesting thing from that there. Another thing quickly on the song, it is actually their only UK #1 that they've had. As I said before, it's a song that I knew, recognised, liked it back then, still liked it now. Not my favourite on the album, but I can see why the appeal of it at the time. And yeah, it's just an all right sort of song there, really.
Okie dokie. The next one was, oh yeah, this one. Okay, Fire Coming Out of the Monkey's Head. So this is a really, really unique song, if we can call it that. So it was a story to get us started, like an American narrator. Then we had a nice little bit of singing, sort of nice, calm, relaxed singing. Then the storyteller came back to continue the story. And then I think at the end, again, we had a little bit of singing to finish it off. And I might sort of question this and said, is this even classed as a song? I certainly found it unique. Nothing really I disliked about it, but just weird, but interesting. Yeah.
Again, really good song. I can't really add too much more to that there. So that's what I was saying. If we're talking about, we talk about previous albums, there's normally an experimental track, and every track I'm going through, oh, this could be experimental. This to me is what I would probably class for the Gorillaz as their experimental track. Let's say, because it's totally different to anything else from the album, which would be considered experimental for other bands, probably albums. Yeah, didn't dislike it. Made a nice change of pace. And it kind of was going to it. Kind of then felt like it then links on with the next song, which I'm sure we're just about to go on to.
Okay, so the next song was called "Don't Get Lost in Heaven." First thing that, as soon as sort of the singing came on here, the beginning, I wrote down the Beatles exclamation mark. I know you'd mentioned the Beatles in a previous song, but I definitely felt it was that kind of feel going on. That it sounded like the Beatles. And then I was like questioning, why are they going on about fire coming out of a monkey's head? That was that was from the previous song. I was a bit confused, and then it was just weird and really short, just a really short song. So Brett, maybe you can tell us a little bit more.
To be honest, I actually can't. I can't say much more than that. Just saying, almost like it connects to the other song. I don't know why it wasn't just one long song with one long title, fire coming out of the monkey's head, who doesn't get lost in heaven. And it's interesting, yeah, but I always find, since they mentioned the Beatles quite a lot, it should be a little ticker probably in the corner when Brett's first going to mention um, the Beatles. But otherwise, yeah, I actually haven't got much more I can say on that song, really.
Okay. The final song on the standard album then was Demon Days. This is also the title of the album. So I don't know, for me, that puts a little bit more pressure on the song just because that's the name of the album. So I don't know. I'm thinking maybe if that's what they've named the album, they must rate the song. Anyway, I question this one. Who is actually singing? Because from what I remember here, there was a woman, or women, yeah, like, but there was no, that wasn't mentioned on the album or on the Wikipedia page. There was a guest singer in here, so I was a little bit confused by that. And it was just a pretty average song for me. Nothing to really like or dislike about it too much. Yeah.
Yeah. So there is a female band member in the Gorillaz, so I
Okay.
believe it's probably her. Um, yeah, the main thing I put here was just a nice way to end an album, really. Again, just really soft. Again, really enjoyed sort of the instrumental, the orchestra bits, nice bit of singing, and then we also had that interference coming back into this one again. Just a nice end of album track for me.
Okay. It wasn't the end of the album for us though. We had one more to go, thanks to the Japanese bonus track, which was called 68 State. And I'll be honest with you, I actually regret kind of suggesting we listen to this. It kind of gave the album a bad end for me because I just found it to be a really annoying electronic music. It sounded like the sound of it was "I love it more." I don't know if that was what it was supposed to be. In my head, I was, every time this sound came on, it sounded like if there were words, it would have been "I love it more." Just found it very poor. To be honest, just a waste of time listening to the bonus track. Yeah, it's a bad end to the album for me personally.
Yeah, I just put like surreal sort of dance track music. It is something I could probably see myself like and listening to. But I think at this point I was done with the album. But again, I think when we go back and listen to it, I don't have to think about what I'm going to write or think about. I could probably listen and take it a bit more. It did get a little bit too much, but not an awful track for me personally. But again, I couldn't see it working if it was meant if it would have been originally on the album. Yeah, just a dancey tune.
Okay, so there we go. That concludes our album review. I guess just to sum up, I would say, yeah, interesting album to listen to. I probably liked it more than what I was expecting, if I'm being totally honest. I wasn't expecting so much rap. I know Brett probably was because he knows the previous songs, but I didn't really know much about the Gorillaz, and I don't know any of their songs, except I do if I started listening to them. If that makes sense. Like even the song on the first album, which I can't remember the name of. I recognize the title of the song, but I can't remember how the actual song goes. So that's kind of why maybe I wasn't expecting the rap. So I don't know. It was interesting. Quite a bit going on, different sounds, and like I said at the beginning, kind of for me just above average. So nothing to really get excited about, but certainly nothing to dislike too much about it either.
Yeah, and for me, without too much on what you've probably said there, it probably was a tiny bit little underwhelming for me. I was probably maybe a little bit more potentially. But as I said, that doesn't mean I didn't like the album. As I said at the start, I just think maybe I just need to listen to it again and sort of listen without having to think about the songs too much, and hope I can maybe see if I improve a bit more there. But like I say, there's definitely elements of it really like and really take from it, and some bits I didn't enjoy it as much.
Okay, so guys, I think that's all for today. Thank you for listening and watching. We'll see you on Wednesday for the next album choice. But don't forget to write your album that you want us to listen to in the comment section below, and then you'll save us a job from having to do a random pick. Okay, thank you for watching. Goodbye.